Hi there and welcome to the Builder's Office, a place that you can go to get insider secrets on how to successfully build your home. Some of the things that might come out of this is things that builders don't want homeowners to know. So stay with me and we're going to go through something really good today. So my name is Hugh. This is episode 26. Episode 26, we're over the hump of the quarter mile. And what are we going to be talking about today? So last week I was going through a few things and just to deal with dishonesty, and I'm going to have a little bit of a continuation on that because I think that it's really important to get some of this stuff out there. So stay with us and we'll get into this in just a second. But in the meantime, if this is your first time, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, share or subscribe, whatever platform you might be on, follow, and just to help us get this information out there to people that are really needing it. So homeowners just like you. So let's dive into this, shall we? So once again, got me a list of stuff just so that I don't get too lost with them in amongst all this. So in the last episode, we discussed some of the reasons why builders seem dishonest. And well, there was some interesting things that sort of come out of that. I touched on one thing, which I think I'm going to touch on a little bit more today, and that's training. And is training, when it comes to builders, one of the biggest things that's going on out there? And I believe that it is, because really training in the industry is not particularly great, and there needs to be some improvement. There really does. When you consider what's happened over the last few years, it's really amplified the issue that training has been, let's just say, insufficient in the industry. And what is going on? And of course there'd be somebody calling me now as well, which makes it even more fun. But no interruptions. I'm not going to interrupt any of this at the moment. So what did we go through? Where was I up to? So I have also said that I'll try not to bring too many stats into it, but one of the stats that got put in front of me yesterday, which was something that I've touched on before in a previous episode, which was the insolvencies that are happening out there in the industry, and quite a lot of them. I think that last time I spoke about it, we were up to around the 1,600 mark, or 14 or 1,600 mark of insolvencies in the industry. And I think I may have to correct myself on something that I said there. And this is something that you don't hear a lot of people say, is correcting ourselves when we make mistakes. It was that I said that they were builders specifically. Now it's building industry professionals, but I do know that they're, on average, over the last few years, there's been between 30 and 40 insolvencies just as builders per month. So that obviously doesn't equate to how many insolvencies there are in the construction industry over the last 12 months. So we know that at the moment we're getting, just moving into May, we know that the insolvencies have gotten over 1,800, and 1,800 was the last mark in 2014 that was the highest point, the record. So once again, this financial year, we have definitely eclipsed that mark that was set in 2014. So all that information is freely available on the ASIC website, and I will put a link up that'll get you there if you want to see that. But that's not the ins and outs of what I really wanted to sort of discuss, because yes, okay, we've got insolvencies happening, and it's not limited to builders, it is tradespeople and everything that's going on across there as well. So what's going on? Why is there such a high rate of insolvencies? Well, is it really dishonesty? I don't think it's dishonesty. I think it is a severe lack of training and knowledge when it comes to running businesses. And I'm not about to say that I'm above that. I've learnt my lessons from having businesses that didn't perform well, or didn't make money, didn't make profit, didn't do anything like that. And this is the reason why there's so many insolvencies. And it's not limited. This wasn't as when I was a builder, this was when I was just a tradie, and I didn't get the experience as a tradesperson because the training isn't provided in an apprenticeship. And if you want to do something more with it, you've got to do tertiary education stuff afterwards, or go and do business management courses, which a lot of tradies aren't prepared to do, because let's face it, people that get into trades, on the most part, weren't people that studied any kind of business management or anything like that at school, which is a good place to start. And yeah, so we end up with the case of people that are unskilled, good with their hands, but not great with the business acumen. So when we really get into it, like, is that a good basis to start on builders? Great with their hands, not good with businesses. Are there people out there that can help them to be able to succeed and to not have a business that's going to be trading insolvently and robbing Peter to pay Paul and doing all that sort of thing? Look, there is a way to be able to do that, and it's going to really start at the top. And yes, the people that are the ones that really need to be sort of focusing on this and testing people out to find out if they are actually capable of doing this is the people themselves, because the onus is always put onto the business owner for doing the right thing. So, how much does training have to do with it? So much. It's not funny. Like, we know that the builder skills are started in trades, and whether they're carpenters, whether they're plumbers, whether they're electricians, whether they're bricklayers, plasterers, it doesn't matter who they are. They start with all their work with their hands, and then they have to move into being business people. So we know they're not natural business people. Does this still make them dishonest? No, it doesn't, because they don't know what they don't know. And well, we've all sat there, we've all done it. When we've started doing a particular job, let's do a little bit of a comparison to other industries. If we're talking about, let's just say let's go with a fun one. Let's go with the legal industry. When those guys first start having to deal with legal issues, they go to school, okay? They go on, effectively, in a similar sort of sense, they do an apprenticeship. And doing an apprenticeship, traineeship, or doing their schooling, they go and do their degree, and then they have to basically go and sit and pass exams at the end of it to get their qualification. But that doesn't automatically mean that they can do the job efficiently. They've learnt the basics, just the same as an apprenticeship. An apprenticeship is like going and doing a degree. You learn the basics, and then you've got to go out and you've got to learn the other stuff. But one of the differences is, when you get someone that's done a degree, they're also doing some of the business acumen stuff, which isn't done during an apprenticeship. So there is that little bit of a difference there, and I wish that wasn't the case, but sadly it is, and we've just got to work through it the best that we can. But how many years after their degree do you see anybody in the legal profession actually start running a business? It's not straight away. Most of the time in the construction industry, guys finish their apprenticeship and they want to work for themselves. They see that as the opportunity, and then they go out and they start making mistakes. They start stuffing things up, and most make mistakes, but that's the learning process. And so mistakes are made. Clients are sometimes treated badly, and overcharged, undercommitted, don't deliver on time, don't deliver a product, don't turn up. All these things that can be seen as being dishonest or bad business practices. So the training that's there could be better. Should people be spending more time working for other people and working in businesses that are well established? Yes, most likely. It would certainly help be able to make sure that people have the business skills to be able to run a business and not be termed as dishonest. That would be a good thing, yes. Now, one of the things that does come from that is another part, and it's not one that's easy to describe, and that is that there are some really bad business practices already out there. And just in the building industry, there's a lot of bad operators, and we know that, and they're the ones that give the dishonest name the really big thing. But if you've got people that go into, if you've got employees that come out of trades, go into some of these building businesses, and then they learn some of those bad habits, this is how it gets amplified. It's not a great thing to be happening, but it does happen. So dishonesty out there, sadly, there's the people that run the businesses, they're the ones that will be the ones that determine the dishonesty factor of it all, which is kind of messed up. So how much does that actually happen? I have seen it quite a lot. I have worked in places that are unsavory myself, and I'm not about to name names. That's pretty unfair, so I'm not going to be doing that. But when it comes to it, their business practices and their beliefs certainly didn't match up with mine. I consider myself to be a pretty honest person and always out to help people. So I always do my best. Some of these guys, they didn't. They saw everything as the paycheck and did not give two flying. You get the gist on the rest of that. Which was really sad. And yes, I didn't last long in those places. I saw a couple of them go down straight afterwards because of the dishonest practice. And so now that's really what's changed my business, and seeing that things could be better, and could things be better for everybody else. When it came to my apprentices and that sort of thing over the years, I always did my best to try and give them the best basis so that they can succeed. And now it's come back, and speaking to them afterwards, and they're doing really well because they've got some of those basics that they need to make sure that they're doing the right thing, which was brilliant. So are builders dishonest? I don't think that they know that they're being dishonest because the training isn't sufficient, and the quality of the training that is out there at the moment when they're working for other people it goes back to that saying, they don't know what they don't know. So is there a lot of room for improvement? Yes, there is. I don't think that innately builders are dishonest. It is just a training thing. It is just that people don't know. And I wish it was better. I wish it was a simpler answer to be able to make sure that people get things right. But for you as a homeowner, is there a way that you can do something to, not necessarily stamp it out, but be able to get things to be improved and get things to be, to ensure that you do have a reputable builder, someone that is going to be able to help you? There's lots of questions, and then it's just going to come down to making sure that you have your list of red flags, and there's lots of that available out there. So yes, we'll discuss that further, I think, in another episode, and I'm going to try and get somebody on for the next episode and discuss this in a little bit more detail. But I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a great weekend if you're listening to it on the weekend, whenever you may be listening to it, day, night, and I hope you enjoy it as best you can. And we will see you next week. This is Hugh from the Builder's Office signing off for another week. Join us next week. We'll talk about this a little bit more. Thanks a lot. Take care.